The audience may remember our discussion with Mark Sisson and Dr. Kate Shanahan and many others, Dr. Casey Means, in that last episode about seed oils and what a real problem they are in the American diet. Not so, says the New York Times in a piece just dated a couple weeks ago, 11/9/2024, writing, "Are seed oils actually bad for you?" To their many vocal detractors, they are referred to as the hateful eight. That's Kate Shanahan. She used that term. Canola oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, and other refined oils made from the seeds of certain plants have become lightning rods of the wellness influencers and some politicians, including RFKJ, saying that they unknowingly poison Americans. The claim that seed oils are ruining our health is especially rankling to nutrition scientists who see them as a big step forward from butter and lard. Decades of research, Casey, have shown that consuming seed oils is associated with better health, said, wait for it, you're a Stanford-trained doctor, Christopher Gardner, a professor of medicine at Stanford University. What do you make of the attempt to rehabilitate the seed oils?
Well, first of all, there's kind of this all-out campaign from legacy and print media to create confusion in the nutrition industry. You know, we had that Time article a few weeks ago. What if ultra-processed foods aren't as bad as we think? This is ludicrous. We know that ultra-processed foods are one of the leading modifiable causes of premature death globally. And so it's strange. But when I think about seed oils, there's basically 5 things I think about of why I don't eat them, why I don't touch them. And the first one isn't even about human health. It's actually about environmental health. When you look at these seed oils, which have now become really one of the predominant sources of calories in America over the past 50 years, these are grown with monocrop industrial agriculture on these huge monocrop farms covered in pesticides, and takes a lot of these plants to just make small bottles of oil. And over 90% of the canola crops in the United States are genetically engineered. So we're talking about crops that are turned into an oil that are leading to environmental devastation of the soil. So that's number one. The second is just how they're produced. So if you've watched a video of how canola oil is produced,
yeah, we looked at it the last time you were on.
It's nauseating. It's nauseating. And, you know, these processes, it's involved like 8 to 10 steps, including heating, flaking, soaking, pressing, solvent extraction, bleaching, and deodorizing, heated to really high temperatures using like solvents like hexane, and then put in a plastic bottle to sit on a shelf where they can be oxidized by the light that's being exposed to them. This is in contrast to more natural forms of traditional fats like butter, which involves literally one step, churning it, or olive oil, which involves basically one step, squishing it. So this is just common sense, right? This is ultra-processed, chemically refined food that humans have never eaten before. Why would we start to look at this like it's some panacea for heart health? The third thing we know, which a lot of people talk about, they're very high in omega-6 fats, and our diets now have way too many omega-6 fats, which are pro-inflammatory. We need some omega-6 fats, but we're now eating like 20-to-1, which creates a pro-inflammatory state in the body. They're easily oxidizable, and oxidative stress,
let me just jump in, because this is what they say in the Times piece. Okay, this is what they say. A large body of research has shown that people who consume more omega-6 fatty acids or who have higher levels of those fats in their blood have lower risks for cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and earlier death.
That's a completely controversial statement. That is actually, like, even in medical school, I learned something different than that. That the huge disproportionate amount of omega-6 fats that we have, and mechanistically we also understand this. Like these fats, like arachidonic acid and the omega-6 chain, lead to pro-inflammatory cytokines in our bloodstream. So they've written a lot of stuff about nutrition that's blatantly false, like processed foods being okay, but that one actually goes against what I've learned both mechanistically and even in medical school. So that's very, very strange.
They're desperate to rehabilitate seed oils and make us feel like what they say is, look, these these foods, he says, we're eating more of these oils because they're used in ultra-processed and fast foods, which make up a larger share of our diets today than they did in the past, said this Dr. Gardner of Stanford. Those foods aren't good for us, he's saying, about ultra-processed foods and fast foods, but there's no evidence to suggest that seed oils are what makes them unhealthy.
Yeah. So there's a good point there, which is that, like, even let's say that the chugging some canola oil was totally innocuous to our health, which it's not. These are the backbone of ultra-processed food in the United States. They're cheap. They're subsidized by the Farm Bill, so they're artificially cheap. And they, a huge place that the Farm Bill dollars go towards, taxpayer dollars, is soybeans, which are turned into soybean oil. And they're artificially cheap. So the ultra-processed food companies love them. They put them into their ultra-processed food, which are now 67% of human calories that we're eating in the United States, that we know are destroying our cellular health. And so there's a fair point there by Dr. Gardner that it's really, it's the context in which they're being eaten is a problem. But also, the reality is that 67% of our calories are coming from ultra-processed food now. So we need to examine this as, like, in context of what's happening. But no, I mean, for all the reasons I just mentioned.
It's not just ultra-processed foods. I mean, good luck finding a salad dressing that doesn't have this vegetable oil in it, this canola oil. It's very hard, actually. The olive oil is not the default.
Oh, not even close, because it's more expensive. It doesn't get the federal subsidies. You could buy a chicken breast at Whole Foods. That chicken breast is at the hot bar or in the deli. It's being cooked with canola oil, almost certainly. Thank goodness for apps like Seed Oil Scout and other things that are helping us be aware. But, I think the fact that a huge percentage of American calories are coming from these chemically refined foods, like, this is one of those moments where we need to use not only there's the research that shows mechanistically that high omega-6 fats cause inflammation in our bodies and are pro-oxidant, but also just use our common sense. Like, we don't want these things that are bleached and chemically refined with hexanes being a majority of the calories that we're eating, obviously.
Well, here's the other thing. Let me say this. It's not easy to get seed oils out of your diet. It's not, but it's possible. The first thing you do is go into your pantry and throw away almost everything. But try it for 2 weeks and see what happens to your body. Just try it for 2 weeks and see that's what I did. After Kate Shanahan came out, I was like, oh my God, I'm thin again. It's like, there I am. I shrunk off that extra layer of inflammation that was all over me. It really makes a difference. So the bottom line is that RFKJ and hopefully the Means twins, they're not twins, but your brother and sister, are going to be helping us not have to do this crap. Like, we're not going to ideally have to be so discerning in every single thing we choose, because there will be plenty of ready-to-grab ingredients on the store shelves that have not been, modified in this way, that aren't like cancer in a jar or a package. And it just won't be so hard for people like me and people who have less means than I have. Yeah. Okay, but wait, I want to ask you about this too. Two other things quickly, because we only have a couple minutes left. First of all, what pasta are we supposed to be getting? Because this has been very hard. I know it's hard. You shouldn't be eating the pasta, but the Italian pasta is good for you. And they spray all of our wheat with the terrible stuff. So what kind of pasta can we get that's not terrible?
I mean, first of all, no non-organic pasta, whether it's wheat or non-wheat. They've showed that Bonza, the chickpea pasta, which is non-organic, has huge glyphosate residue. So don't do non-organic pasta. And then I would probably do an organic black bean pasta or a lentil pasta, which often the boxes have one ingredient. There's also amazing lupini bean pasta. There's a brand, Kaizen, that does that. So, something made of a bean or a lentil is a good option if it's organic.
Okay. Secondly, the New York Times has this piece talking about how they're trying to fact check RFKJ for saying that that Fruit Loops, as an example, has too many artificial ingredients, questioning why the Canadian version has fewer than the U.S. version. And the New York Times, in an aha moment, trying to I got him, writes, but he was wrong, claiming authoritatively that, in fact, the ingredient list is roughly the same. Although Canada's has natural colorings made from blueberries and carrots, while the U.S. product contains red dye 40, yellow 5, and blue 1, as well as butylated hydroxytoluene or BHT, a lab-made chemical that is used for freshness. That's their fact check.
It's priceless. It's like, this is the thing. They think we're stupid. And Americans, I mean, you saw how this blew up on social media. Charlie Kirk posted about it. It went viral. We're not, we can actually, Americans can handle nuance. So, it's like, yeah, similar ingredients, this one just happens to have poison in it, but it's the same number. It's also not the same number of ingredients. You just showed it. No. But, let's just talk about the facts. Red 40, which is banned in many other countries, has been linked to attention disorders in children with strong evidence in conventional journals. It's also been linked to cancer. BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene, it's a preservative. It's banned in Europe in food, and it's been found to be toxic in animals. May cause liver, thyroid, kidney, lung problems, and act as a tumor promoter. I don't want these in my food. They are banned in other countries, and it's wonderful that RFK is talking about the food system. This is one small part of it. There are actually 4,000 chemicals allowed in our food by the FDA right now, many of which have never been tested for safety. So the broader point is we have to start talking about these toxins in our food system on a really big stage.
God bless you for doing it. Your interview on Tucker Carlson, I really think it helped change the world. Like more and more people saw it. RFKJ was attracted to it. He's been fighting similar fight his whole life, but it aligned him with you and your brother. And bam, we're off to the races. Can't wait to see what's next for you, Casey. What's the cause of many health problems in America today? It's simple. Shitty food. Food that is engineered to keep us addicted, offering zero real nutrition, crafted by mega corporations that prioritize profit over our well-being. Our food system is broken, and we just cannot rely on big food to put our health first, as you know. If you are skeptical of the ingredients in the food you buy, and you should be, or if you're looking for something new you can trust, I want to introduce you to Kettle and Fire bone broth. Kettle and Fire is not just any broth. It's made using 100% grass-fed and free-range bones, slow-simmered for over 14 hours to extract critical nutrients your body needs to thrive. It's high in protein, and better yet, each recipe is crafted by world-class chefs to ensure the best taste possible. This is the bone broth I use, and I've been using this for a couple years now. So with Thanksgiving right around the corner, consider using Kettle and Fire's broths to add rich, delicious flavor. No artificial flavors, no harmful pesticides. It's just simple ingredients to support your health. Find Kettle and Fire in the broth aisle at grocery stores nationwide. And for a limited time, my viewers and listeners get 15% off by going to kettleandfire.com/MK. That's kettleandfire.com/MK. That's where I get it online. Or pick it up at your next grocery store trip. Kettle and Fire. Play with your food, not your health. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.